This week on the Heycast, more concerns about Activision Blizzard, Fallout 76's sales plummeted, and we're getting PlayStation shoes, yo! Hey everybody, you're listening to episode 10 of the Heycast, the number one gaming podcast in our hearts. I'm Timothy, this is Giacomo.
That's me.
And there's no Arnold this week because he's dead.
He died.
So we had a pretty interesting, stressful week this week because of Black Friday.
Yep.
And we didn't mention this before the podcast, but do you want to talk about Black Friday and our thoughts on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and this stuff a little bit later in the podcast?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on the podcast. But as for this week, yeah, we work retail. We deal with a lot of Black Friday stuff, so that was pretty stressful. And I've realized as I get older, more naps are starting to become a lot more required for me.
They're much better. Constantly taking naps on your floor.
I'm becoming an old man now, even though I'm only 23.
You're an old man, Timothy.
But yeah, I used to be
young,
highly against taking naps because naps used to fuck me up. But now it's just like I really need those naps.
You do need those naps and coffee. A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. I've been drinking coffee since high school, and as I grow older, I start drinking more and more coffee. It is a bad addiction.
No, it's
well. I mean, coffee's. There's been conflicting studies about the whole topic. So
coffee's great as long as you're drinking it black, but you don't drink it black.
I do not drink it black.
No, you don't.
I mean, I drink it pretty strong. Like, I don't put a ton of sugar and I put like a little bit of creamer, like a little bit of like the non-dairy creamer, just like not even a full spoon of it. And then I put a little bit of sugar and that's about it. So I don't drink it like...
You're not drinking it at Starbucks level of enjoyment.
Yes, exactly. I don't drink it like a white girl.
Damn. Well, what about males? They drink it like that.
I don't drink it like a white man.
Include everybody, man.
But yeah, I tend to drink my coffee pretty strong. So, but yeah, I've been doing that since I was in high school. But aside from sleeping and working and stuff, I've just been watching my normal things. I'm watching anime like the little weeaboo that I am.
You weeb, but that's cool.
I'm a freaking weeb.
I mean, did you know that people who watch anime have the best pussies?
What? Where did you get that from?
I read it on a meme.
What the fuck? Okay,
so tell me, is it true? Is your pussy good? Is it?
I'm not even going to answer.
It's supposed to be great.
Why don't you talk about your week, Giacomo? You've been dealing with Black Friday also since we worked together. But
well, Black Friday's been pretty simple for me because I just close all the time. I don't have to really put stuff away.
Right.
Really, my big thing was staying up so late after I already got off late. Like, just keep the grind going till 3 a.m. because I want to play video games.
Yeah, Spencer almost had that death shift before he managed to get
shift.
He had a death shift, and then he managed to switch with one of our coworkers,
which is good because if not, he would have worked with almost no rest because his ass would be up playing video games.
If you guys are curious about that death shift, he was supposed to be off at like 1:45 a.m. and then he was supposed to start at like 7 a.m. the next day. Or that same day.
Those are horrible shifts.
I thought there was a law that said that made it so there had to be at least an 8-hour gap in between.
I think technically you could say it, but if they're willing to work it,
right. So,
yeah, there's a will, there's a way, man.
So yeah, did you do anything else?
What else did I do this week? What did I do? I didn't read any books. That's what I didn't do.
You're illiterate. And you don't know how to read.
I was looking up all the Black Friday deals for video games.
Right.
And there's nothing I want right now.
I know. I mean, typically, Black Friday deals for video games are always the older stuff. And we're going to get a little bit into Black Friday video game deals during our news stuff when we talk about Fallout 76.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, typically they're kind of older stuff. And usually it's games that most of us already have.
I mean, I got that Nintendo DS, the one with Mario Brothers, the black and white one last year, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it was,
right.
You know, it's a DS though, so it really didn't change anything.
Sure. Okay, so why don't we, if you didn't really do that much.
How about you?
I mean, I talked about sleeping a lot and then working. That was pretty much it.
Yeah,
and then watching anime like a weeb.
This was all prep, man, for like the week. And now that it's over.
This week has been crazy.
I just want the eShop to go more on sale because I want to pay less for the games I want to buy.
You know that's never gonna happen. Nintendo, like the good stuff, the Nintendo stuff that we actually want, is never gonna go on sale.
It really doesn't. Well, you know what? I did see Super Smash. It was like a Facebook thing going for $30.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a Facebook sale or whatever the hell. It sold out almost immediately.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
I did not see that.
I didn't either until our friend posted about it after he already got it.
Sure.
So I was like, God damn it, I didn't get a single one.
That's funny. Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump into the news, and then we'll talk about Black Friday a little bit later. So this first story we talked about quite a lot these last few episodes of the podcast, where we talked about Blizzard's relationship with Activision and the whole Blizzard Diablo Immortal debacle that was going on, and how they are very disconnected from their fans and everything because of the way they handled the whole situation. So I'm not going to really go into too much detail with the Immortal stuff. You can listen to one of our past podcasts to listen to us talk more about that. Yep. Or you can check out a few of those YouTube channels like Yang Yi and some articles on Eurogamer or something. I don't know. Those do a pretty good job of talking about that as well. So recently there was a Kotaku article written by Jason Schreier, whom a lot of us know as one of the big names in games journalism, because he's really well known for doing a lot of those investigative pieces with Kotaku, where he would actually go in and like he goes a little bit farther than most games journalists are willing to go in terms of getting their story and everything. So he did a piece where he talked about 11 current and former Blizzard employees about the whole situation, about why this is going on and what the state of Diablo 4 is, because a lot of people were expecting a Diablo 4 announcement during BlizzCon this year, which never happened.
I also wanted that. So
yeah. Everybody wanted a Diablo 4 Immortal. It's about time. Diablo 3's been out for a while. Ever.
They've been rehashing it now.
And what's more is only one expansion ever came out for Diablo 3, because in this article, Diablo 3 had a second expansion that was on the way, but it ended up getting canceled. So this is kind of a long article. So I'm not going to go through every little thing in this gigantic article. It's very rare we see an article this long, especially for video game related stuff.
It's usually maybe a quarter of this.
Yes. So basically, the main points of this article were the second expansion to Diablo 3 was canceled because the executives thought Diablo 3 was a huge fuck up.
You know, it wasn't the game itself, it was the auction house.
The auction house was a major issue. There was also a game-breaking bug. It was like error 87 or something. I don't remember what the number was. That was preventing people from being able to play the game as they would have liked. However, when Reaper of Souls came out, that was a pretty big hit. Everybody really liked, well, most people really liked Reaper of Souls. It fixed a lot of the issues that Diablo 3 had. It got rid of the auction house, and it was a pretty good overall expansion. But apparently, according to this article, when the executives decided to cancel the second expansion for Diablo Immortal, they did it before seeing the results of Reaper of Souls, and they just axed it.
Oops.
Right? So, I mean, they didn't really give that expansion a chance, and I feel like if they saw how that expansion did, and a lot of the employees, they felt this way as well, they saw how that expansion would have done, they probably wouldn't have axed that second expansion. And so because of this, we never really got any new content for a game for a game like this, and that's been out for like ever, right? So apparently they also did mention that Diablo 4 was also in development.
Yep.
But they didn't announce it. A while back, Jason Schreier also put out a piece where a certain source mentioned that Diablo 4 was planned to be announced at BlizzCon. However, they were afraid to announce it because they didn't want one of those, situations where they announce a game and then it gets canceled a bit later down the road.
That's the worst.
Or something like that. Blizzard has kind of had a bit of a history of doing that. There was a game, there was an MMO that they were working on before, I believe this was before Overwatch. They were working on this and then it got canceled. It was called Titan.
And didn't Titan end up becoming, or parts of Titan become Overwatch?
I believe that was a thing, yes. But yeah, Titans was an MMO that was apparently a combination of like Sims, Left 4 Dead 2, and some other stuff.
That's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, it's weird because the whole concept was like during the day you were running businesses or something, and then at night you were like some sort of superhero or something. It's an interesting concept, but it did get canceled. And the article by Jason Schreier kind of goes into detail about how the failure, the cancellation of Titan kind of has been looming over Blizzard's head for a while and kind of influenced a lot of their decisions. But the big thing was a lot of people are kind of concerned about Activision's influence on Blizzard lately because it seems like there's been a bit more of an influence from them than there used to be. Activision, of course, took over the company that was originally had ownership over Blizzard. I forget what the company was called, but their relationship has always been kind of separate. Blizzard's been always sort of its own entity, despite being under Activision and despite the interactions between Activision and other games companies. They've always been, very influential to those game companies in terms of their decision making and stuff like that. But Blizzard was always very developer focused and very sort of their own thing. It was almost like an indie developer in a way where
they were just an indie developer with a lot of money.
Right. So it's really weird seeing how it seems like now Activision is very much interacting with Blizzard a lot more these days, and a lot of people are kind of worried about that.
Do you feel like that is why they decided to move towards mobile?
Of course, like Blizzard would not be so into mobile games if it weren't for Activision, because I mean, it's Activision. They're kind of known for a lot of microtransaction heavy stuff. And lately, what a lot of people are worried about is sort of the microtransaction direction that Diablo Immortal would be going towards.
That's what I'm also kind of worried about.
Yeah. There were also like images that were released about a meeting between Blizzard and I believe NetEase, the company making Diablo Immortal, and the company that made a lot of those Diablo-esque mobile titles.
Right, the Chinese one.
Yes. There were images that were leaked of that meeting that was kind of showing, and it was all in Chinese, so people kind of had to translate it, but it looked like they were talking about the future of microtransactions in Diablo Immortal and sort of what their direction is going to be with these microtransactions.
See, that kind of stuff sucks. Just because you're used to this company that doesn't really do that. Because even with Overwatch, everything you got was purely cosmetic, which is one of the few things I'm all right with microtransactions, because it doesn't affect the game. And I see why the League of Legends model is so strong. Because again, nothing inherently affects the game. It's just how you look. But when you start, it's almost like a pay to win.
Right.
And that's when it sucks. That's when games get really frustrating.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I also hate like those games that are very much you pay to even just play the game. The ones where they have like sort of a stamina system.
You have a certain amount of time. I think of Mafia Wars on Facebook back in 2009.
Yeah. There was this one MMO that I used to play called Elsword, and it also had a stamina system, and you had to use like a certain thing to build up your stamina again, but it wasn't so bad because that stamina bar was so big that like by the time you depleted it, I mean, it's about time you got off the game anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like a lot of those, they have like those really small stamina bars where you can play like 5-10 minutes and then you have to pay in order to continue playing the game. So, I mean, I don't know. Microtransactions overall, it's kind of a frustrating thing to me, and it can be fine. It can be like a subscription service to a lot of games, but they don't treat it that way, and they treat it in sort of this really scummy way that people really don't like.
But I mean, that's the trend now, is doing games as a service, whether you're getting microtransactions, whether you're doing what EA's doing, where you release one game and just have DLC forever.
But then, but you have games like Warframe, and then you have subscription-based games like subscription-based MMOs like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14. Which are all games as a service, but they don't treat it very scummy, and it's like it's in a fashion that people are okay with because the game actually has substance. It has content for them to play. You're paying so that they can continue to create more content for you to play. Whereas games like most mobile titles, it's pay to win, and it's like it's not really substantial content that they're dishing out.
Especially on mobile, like, because that's where I always think of mobile gaming where it can get a bad rep, is because a lot of the games you really just do.
Yes, just tap.
For the most part. And I get it, because the interface is so simple that you have to make it easy to just be able to touch it. Though you could probably take it to the next level. I mean, I used emulators back on like a Samsung Express years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So if it worked then, you could definitely do it on machines now. But I don't think they do that, because the market that's playing most of those mobile games are actually female. And it's surprising, right? And they're very simplistic. They're very easy to play. And that's all you need it to be.
But are you saying women are simplistic and just want simple games?
No, but I just wanted to point that statistic out.
Right. I mean, it's an interesting statistic, and by no means influences women being the common.
Maybe we should say children, because a lot of those games are colorful, bright, and explosive. Which
I think
gets
it's definitely more
attention.
more children focused. Like the games are more geared towards children, and I think it definitely is an interesting statistic that women are the primary.
Yeah, I was at E3, and I remember I was looking up some statistics ahead of time, and because I always like going into the mobile booths,
right?
And this year I decided, all right, let's take a look and see the stats, and women were one of the highest ones, and I was thinking, wow. And I think
a big part of that was probably Candy Crush.
I
think Candy Crush heavily influenced it.
It definitely does, because I remember my sister, that's what she started playing.
Right.
Like, and that's all she really does is very simple games on her phone. And
which is just Bejeweled, by the way.
And I love Bejeweled. Bejewed's great.
But people are treating it like it was like some sort of...
Hashtag bring back Bejeweled.
People are treating Candy Crush like it was like some sort of, what's the word? Innovative game, but it's just Candy Crush. I mean, just Bejeweled.
It is.
So, another thing that a lot of people were talking about, with a lot of the former and current employees were talking about, was a lot of discussion about cutting costs. So they were talking about, and this was after, I believe, the initial launch of Diablo 3 and how it kind of failed at the beginning, and how they changed their sort of approach right before Reaper came out. And during those discussions about their change in approach, they were talking a lot about cutting costs. Don't really know exactly what that entails, but just the thought of them talking so heavily about cutting costs is kind of scary in a way.
I mean, if I'm guessing cutting costs would be either paying less people or having less people on a team, therefore more people picking up the slack.
I think most people are kind of seeing it as getting rid of the sort of big development related stuff, like what's it, like content,
would you say
graphics, things like that?
Okay.
I feel like a big part of it is like they're lowering the technical side of things, because those are the expensive stuff, the funding for those technical things, and then simplifying their games so that they cost less but rake in more money, which is kind of what the mobile market sort of is. Yeah,
because I mean, if you think about a mobile game,
it's very simple.
How hard can it be to really make one?
Yeah.
If you can find the right rhythm. Think of Flappy Bird. Before it got
it's
banned.
Very simple. Doesn't require a lot of technical things to make. Doesn't require a lot of money to make overall. A lot of thinking. But rakes in a lot of money.
Raked a lot of money before it got removed.
Right.
Yeah. Tons of money.
Yes. Yeah. So, I remember.
Yeah, and just things like that work well. And if this big company can emulate that, that's probably what they're thinking, is making money that way.
Right. Okay, so that was the Blizzard Activision thing. That's pretty much all the stuff we have. I really recommend reading through this article, despite how long it is. It is very long, but it has a lot of information and goes into a lot of detail about the whole situation. So definitely check that out. This next thing we have, I think Giacomo was excited to talk about.
Tons.
This, was Fallout 76.
Literally Fallout falling out. It is... okay, so again, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but when a game that is normally single player but has all the bugs of a single player game mixed into a multiplayer experience, doesn't fit well.
Right. That was a big thing that people were talking about. This game did not do well at all, Fallout 76, and got a lot of negative reviews, and we talked about some bugs couple weeks back.
Yeah, like the frame rate.
Yeah,
if
the
you have a
frame
better
rate
frame
issue.
rate, you move faster. And I thought that was stupid.
Yeah, I didn't actually see anything. I didn't really read too much into that bug, but during my just looking at Fallout 76 stuff in general, didn't really see anything on it. But I mean, I
know the camp system seems to be busted. Like, especially. I get the original idea was, if someone else builds a home there and you're in the server, you can't build there, you got to build somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But there's other things where like certain homes, I guess, get deleted. I only played it so much because I didn't really care for it. I lost interest, not from the gameplay, but from the story. When I play Fallout games, I'm going for the lore. And this is all...
This game has no lore.
It's all... You have to figure it out yourself. And that's not terrible, but I like the NPCs. It feels... too empty.
Mm-hmm. One of the things people were talking about, one of the main criticisms of Fallout 76 was the fact that there's like no NPCs at all, aside from, I don't know, I think there was like some sort of sale person. There was some sort of vendor or something, but there were no NPCs. And the way the quests work was it was all like voice recordings or audio logs.
Yeah, you get all of the holotapes. You have to do everything with terminals.
Yeah, everything was just audio logs and whatnot, and there were just no actual NPCs, and so it just felt really lifeless to a lot of people.
Right, because you'd have raiders or something that killed off the original people there. But that doesn't happen.
And I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense story-wise, since this is supposed to be the first vault or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of the early ones open.
And everybody's still asleep in the other ones or something.
But you still have the people who didn't make it to a vault that survived.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense kind of, but at the same time, it doesn't really make sense to not have anyone at all. Other than a vendor?
Because when this game came out and they said it was going to be a single player and multiplayer like experience, you can't go with the excuse that it's better with friends.
Yeah.
Well, what about the single player experience? The thing that a lot of people are going for with the Fallout series.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have all these bugs and expect it to sell for such a high price.
Yeah, they were marketing this, or not marketing, they were selling this for a full priced game, but it really played a lot more like an alpha test.
Yeah, and I would rather just keep playing Fallout 4.
Yeah. And because of this, the game dropped in price literally a week after it launched.
Bad. I'm thinking Battleborn stuff, man. Remember that?
Yeah. So it dropped to $40 for Black Friday. And as most of us know, when a game drops in price for Black Friday, it is essentially permanent. It is a permanent price drop. And Black Friday game sales, like we mentioned earlier, are generally older games that have been out for like a few months.
Yeah, and you want to push those out or something.
And like even like Red Dead 2, that's not going on sale.
Not at all.
Or that did not go on sale because it sold really well and was critically acclaimed. A lot of people like the game. They made a good game. Fallout 76, Bethesda did not make a good game with this. That's why the price dropped so quickly.
I'll say this. They made a good game in the sense of mechanically and technical it works. Yeah, there's bugs, but you can always iron those out. But that's like making poop into a castle. It's still kind of crappy.
They released a patch, like a bug fix that still resulted in a lot of bugs.
Right.
That still had a ton of bugs in it.
You can fix all the bugs you want, but if the game is inherently boring... Yeah. And like, sure, the shooting is fun, but if you're attracted there for the storyline, which is what Fallout games are known for, and a lot of Bethesda games are known for, they're big and story driven.
Right.
Then you're killing half the game already, and you're paying full price for this, which it, in a way is, and I don't want to really sound so crass this way, but I guess it's a glorified home building simulator.
Right. Kind
in
of.
a nuclear wasteland.
I mean, I can kind of see that, definitely. And yeah, they were like kind of tooting the whole
like that's
base
like the big thing. Yeah, base building.
But it was buggy too, right?
It's buggy.
Yeah,
it's the camp system's buggy.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll definitely fix it, but at that point, it's like it's too late. You've lost a lot of interest.
What I found like really interesting about this whole situation, so there's a website, Giant Bomb, YouTube channel website. They're under GameSpot, I believe, and they do a lot of reviews and whatnot. They do quick looks, pretty big in the gaming community. One of the biggest gaming podcasts out there as well. And even Giant Bomb, despite them doing all these reviews and everything, apparently they don't want to do a review for Fallout 76 because a lot of the people there just don't like the game enough to continue playing it.
That's how I felt. Like I was playing it at a friend's house and thinking, it's definitely something I don't actually want to buy.
Yeah. Here's a quote from Jeff Gersman during the Giant Bombcast. He said, "No one on staff wants to play any more of this video game. I'm not going to subject myself to another 20 to 30 hours of this expletive mess to just put a number on it. My number is don't play this game. It's a bad game." And I got a little quote here from the podcast as well. I just wanted to toss in here.
Fuck, that game's bad. I think that game is it's like, this will sound harsh. I think it's shitty. I think it is like the exact opposite of what people want out of a Fallout game.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think on top of that, it does not run or execute particularly well.
It's super buggy,
so
like you were mentioning.
It's very buggy. It is fucked up in the way that online games can be fucked up, like players disappearing, like the party stuff,
we
acting weird. Yeah,
but yeah, it's just overall it was a mess. It was a messy launch. It's extremely lacking in content, and it's an alpha game that they were an alpha test that they were selling at full price, and people are really pissed about it.
And I mean, I was like super hyped, man. Like E3, I went to go check out all the shit that I could about it, and I was like, all right, this is gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And then the more I heard about it, our friends tested it, and
the way they advertised it and everything too was really pretty solid. Like
really solid.
They had a pretty interesting marketing campaign going around it. Although it was one of those marketing campaigns that didn't really tell you anything about the game, but it was effective. I mean, it was a pretty interesting. It got people interested in the game, but I mean, they released this huge mess. And Bethesda generally, I mean, bugs aside, like they're generally known to make buggy games.
Right. And in a single player experience, that's kind of its charm.
It's fine because
I laugh.
A lot of people, it's known as, but here's the thing. Bethesda is known for creating buggy games and then letting modders fix it, and then they never fix it themselves.
That's fair. That's kind of lazy on their part.
Look at Skyrim. Like, Skyrim had a lot of issues, and then modders just went and fixed those issues, and so Bethesda was like, okay, they fixed them already. Why do we need to fix them, you know? So, and Yang Yi, the Yang Yi, I watch a lot of his videos. He's one of those, he's like, he releases a lot of videos about different gaming news stories and stuff, and then kind of goes really into detail about each of these stories. But he talks about how Bethesda always gets away with stuff like this because they make, I mean, Skyrim, Fallout, like the Fallout series in general, 76 aside, are very buggy, but people like the games. But and so they always got away with it, and now it's kind of like they're finally getting what's coming to them.
Because again,
in a way.
like, all those bugs are fine in a single player environment where it doesn't affect anyone else's experience but your own. And it's funny, and it's kind of like the charm. But when that happens in a game where you're playing with other people, especially in PvP zones, that's a problem. So you can't have all the major issues of a zoo and an amusement park.
Right.
Then you get Jurassic Park. And then that was a mess.
Yeah, and then there was just like the overall issue with 76 just having no content in general.
I really just wanted some... like, if they decide to add DLC for an NPC, maybe I'll consider going back. Because the NPCs, sure, maybe they're not the most exciting to look at. They're a little static.
Yeah.
But they still make the game go for me.
Yeah.
Like, I like it.
Yeah. 76 was trying to be too many things and couldn't really be too many things.
Too many things, but not enough of each.
It was trying to be a single player game, wasn't good at that. It was trying to be a multiplayer game, wasn't good at that. So I mean, what exactly is it? It's just a very lackluster, shitty game.
We will let time hopefully fix it. If it's anything, kind of like a No Man's Sky. But I mean, again, it's just already tarnished with this. It was bad. So, and I don't want that to happen to Fallout, but it happened. And that sucks.
I guess. All right, so moving on from that, let's move on to something kind of fun.
Let's move on to something fun.
So we got PlayStation shoes.
Damn, look at those things.
Look at that.
For those listening, you should look up PlayStation shoes.
Look at those kicks.
Damn. You look so fly wearing that shit.
So PlayStation a while back, they released a pair of shoes. It was the Nike PG2s. So it was in conjunction with Nike. And it was like some light up shoes. And
seriously,
these ones
those look really nice.
They look pretty cool. And now they're releasing the PG 2.5s, which comes out December 1st.
Do they light up?
They light up.
What the
and
hell?
What's a little bit different about this one is it lights up on both sides.
Whoa, that's so crazy.
And it's gray. The other ones were like a darker
me of the
color.
Back to the Future self-tying shoes.
They really look like them, don't they?
But Nike already released a self-tying shoe before.
Yeah, although it was incredibly impractical, way too heavy, and it was kind of slow to self-tie.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like no one's going to pay for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how much these are going to be.
My guess is in the $200 range.
Do they put the prices on here?
Let's find a price. But I'm thinking it has to be at least $200 for these shoes. Maybe even more. Shoes are already demand high price. A lot of Nike shoes can demand high prices.
Right. I'm not seeing a price on here.
You should look up price on the internet. I mean, when do they release?
December 1st.
Oh, shoot. That's a week away.
Yeah, it's a week away. I can't find the price on here, though. This is the PlayStation blog. But here we go. Nike PG 2.5 price. Can we find a price?
PG2 TB men's.
No,
it's a different one.
Oh well, we'll see a price eventually.
You'll find it on the third market.
Based on the price of the PG. 100 and no, those.
This is different. It's the same model, but it's not the PlayStation version.
Right.
It's like that's just the way they design it.
Yeah, those are the PG 2.5s.
We should
regular
have a sneakerhead episode. That'd be awesome. If we could make it game related.
Yeah. So basing off the price of the regular PG 2.5s being like $100-ish, I'm assuming these are probably going to be around like the $200 range. Probably
easy.
But I mean, they're cool looking shoes.
I would probably wear those if I got a pair.
And the only reason I really put this on here was because we talked about the Dragon Ball shoes a while back.
Those were really rad.
And like freaking video game
shoes
collaborations
general,
with clothing
cool
companies and stuff. So yeah, these are pretty neat. They're designed.
Shirts.
They're designed by Nike, PlayStation, and Paul.
How do you even say that?
Paul Georgie? Something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I'm butchering that name.
But yeah, like I said, they're the second pair of PlayStation shoes coming out. The first ones being the PG2s,
which I think personally look a little cooler. But
yeah, I think these the PG2s are a little nicer.
Because that's like PlayStation 2, which is arguably the best PlayStation at the time.
I love
counting
the PlayStation 2
because 4 is really great. But the other ones are like number 1, which isn't bad. I love Twisted Metal. I loved all that stuff in the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
honestly, the PlayStation 2 was one of my favorite consoles of all time. Easy. I played so much of PlayStation 2 as a kid. So.
I had the Slim. That was such a fun console. That was a good console.
Right. But yeah, that's pretty much all the information on the PlayStation shoes. They look cool. Go buy a pair before the holidays for yourselves or your family or whatever. I don't know. If you have any family members that like shoes and like PlayStation.
Get some for me, man.
Yeah, you should send us some too. Send us some. All right. Remember when we talked about the Monster Hunter movie a while back that was coming out and how it did not look like a Monster Hunter movie at all?
Right. It could have been a movie about war in the desert, for all I knew.
I mean, but we got some new screenshots that make it look a little bit more like Monster Hunter, kind of.
I think this is the one right here. This is the one.
Yes, right here.
You got that iconic, the sword, you have her bow, and you have the outfit itself, which I thought they were just going to come out like this right away. Yeah. They could have totally done that as a fantasy movie, right? And I would have been fine too. But this works.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really read this Eurogamer article. I just kind of looked at the screenshot.
I was totally looking at the pictures, but it's a way to tie it in because it's very big. It's about the desert, so they can kind of merge it together. And it's all they're fighting against the giant monsters, which both worlds need to do anyway. So it's cool.
We got Mila Jovovich, which most of us know from the Resident Evil movies.
Yep.
Of course, they were going to include it because I believe the director and her are together.
Really?
I believe.
Is this like a Johnny Depp
they're married.
And, what is it? Helena Barn Carter? I can never say her name.
I suppose. I don't know. Like I think they're married,
like
and
a
so
Danny Elfman thing.
Paul Anderson is the director, which a lot of us know from Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I guess Event Horizon. I don't know Event Horizon. I don't think I've never watched that.
Something Spencer would have told us to watch.
Maybe. I don't know. But Resident Evil wasn't really a good series of movies.
It weren't terrible though. Like compared as video game
movies
go,
they were okay.
Yeah.
They were definitely better than most. But the number one movie of all time is the Chun-Li movie.
Get the fuck out of here. Come on, give it up for Mario Brothers, man.
Oh my god!
Look at that little Bowser head and shit. Like that was the time, man.
Oh.
Yoshi was a dinosaur, an actual dinosaur. Didn't commit tax fraud. It was a good time back in that time.
But yeah, there's still a lot of generic soldiers in this movie.
It's like Transformers. Like when you watch the Transformers film, you like it's a military thing. Where? In the desert.
I guess.
Because they have to kind of give you some realism to sort of ground you, like how it could really affect your world.
Mm-hmm.
But, I didn't hate the Transformers series until after 2. I was sort of over it.
I never, I mean, I guess I when I was younger, I thought Transformers, the movies were kind of cool. But as I grew a little bit older, I started to not really care for them.
Exactly. I'm sort of losing all interest in it. So,
Right.
And I do not want to see the new Bumblebee coming out at all. I'd rather see another Marvel
I'm not really interested
X-Men
either.
Origin movie before I go see
Right.
that one.
Yeah, I'm not particularly interested in
I
the
just
Bumblebee
don't
movie.
care
Me neither.
at all.
Mhm. So moving on from here, we talked about Ubisoft. Ubisoft sort of censoring their games, kind of getting rid of a lot of their blood, sex, and gambling references and stuff
I should didn't know that was a thing.
to kind of comply a bit more with Asian territories and whatnot. And how like they were doing this to comply, but it was kind of weird because there were certain things that were getting kind of split between them and didn't really make too much sense. But they're rolling those back, so they're in the process of rolling those back. I believe they might have finished already. I don't remember. I don't really keep up with Rainbow Six Siege that much. Arnold's usually the one that pays attention to those
Because he
a
plays
lot
it.
more because he plays it. I don't really play it. But yeah, they're rolling back a lot of these changes. Like you can see a before and after when they were making those changes. There used to be like blood splatter on this painting over here, and then they got rid of the blood splatters, and then the sexual reference here with like the pole dancer. It was just a hand and finger after they got rid of it. So they're rolling it back to what it was before.
Which I guess is all right. It doesn't affect the game really, and I would have never noticed in the time that I played Siege.
The big thing was there were other things that were a little bit. I believe there were some stuff that were a bit more gameplay oriented that I don't think I really talked about too much. But yeah, they're doing this because, I mean, they got a lot of backlash over this when they were originally making the changes.
Really?
And it was really weird that they were restricting some things to other territories, and then it's kind of split. It kind of affects things kind of in a competitive standpoint because players play differently in different territories. Fighting games being an example, how a lot of Asian players tend to play a lot more defensive than American players. American players tend to be more aggressive, things like that. And
But does the background inherently affect the
well,
gameplay?
no, they were region locking some things.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, they were region locking. Certain
okay.
things.
See, that's when it's one thing to change the way it looks. It's
Yeah.
another thing to change the way it plays.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the main thing here was the gambling references, the gambling, sex, and blood references. And
Gambling, I
whatnot.
totally understand because they know a lot of children are going to play it, and Europe has a huge
It's a
stance
rated
against
M
it.
game.
Well, that too, but kids are playing it.
Right.
Really, come on, think about all the fun games we played as kids. M-rated.
Yeah, but it's still an M-rated game. It's like taking a rated R movie and then being like, no, you can't say fuck.
Right. Okay. See. Okay. That's a good way. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. Out here in the States, you have to be 17 and you have to present 17 or older, and you have to present an ID
Right.
for an M-rated game. Although a lot of people still get away with it, sure, but you're not supposed to. People get away with sneaking into R-rated movies all the time. I mean, you can't really go based off of like people breaking the rules to restrict a certain thing. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the access is a lot easier for a video game that you can buy digitally.
Mm-hmm.
As where with the movie,
I
you
suppose,
could still
yeah.
buy movies, sort
Sure,
of, but
right.
only after.
Yeah. In which case they need to up the regulations there
Right, for both.
rather than, censoring a game that is rated M.
Right, I'm mostly playing devil's advocate just to.
Yeah. No,
Keep
I
this
get
rolling.
it. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that. There's not really too much to that story aside from they're rolling back those things. This next one is a little bit bigger, a little bit more interesting, I feel like. Warframe came out or is coming out on the Switch? I think it came out, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, so Warframe on the Switch So there's some weird cross-platform related things. So there is not going to be any cross-platform play between Switch and PC. However, you can transfer your account, your progress over, but you can only do it once and in one direction. So if you transfer your progress to the Switch, it essentially kind of splits the account, and then you can't transfer your Switch progress back to your PC. And they're doing this because the Switch version, since they are more focused on PC and PC comes first, the Switch version is kind of like a few months behind or something like that. So if you read here, don't expect cross-platform play, however, and here's where it gets a bit strange. Don't expect your progress on the Switch to carry back over to the PC. Migrating your progress from the PC to the Switch basically means that you're splitting one account into two, and neither have any way to talk to each other. So progress can be moved from one platform to the other, but only once and only in one direction. I asked why this was the case. What did you want to say?
Wasn't this similar to what happened with Fortnite coming from like a tablet or something? Or no, from the Switch and PlayStation?
So that's a little bit different. The issue with Fortnite and the PlayStation version, it was the PlayStation one that was having issues. So the issue with that was that your Epic Games account, when you attach it to PlayStation, gets locked to it and you cannot play on PC. This one, it splits them.
Oh, okay.
So when you can migrate your PC progress so you don't have to start over, right? But you can't bring your Switch progress to PC, right. But you can still play your PC version and still progress on your PC version.
Right, which, I mean, that totally sucks, because what if you do want to play it on the go?
Right. And then your progress doesn't carry over. So you essentially have two accounts, but like it's kind of jump starting you in a way.
I'm just thinking about that now. Like the Switch has an infinite potential with doing that. If you could go back and forth, instead of bringing a giant ass laptop with you everywhere you go, you have this awesome portable Switch.
But the issue is the versions are a little bit different because they are more focused on PC. PC gets like updates and stuff sooner, whereas the Switch is a little bit behind.
That is true. I did not like the Payday port, Payday 2 port. It was really upsetting.
Yeah. But yeah, going on, when they asked why this was the reason, it was basically what I said. As a games as a service title, Warframe leads with PC and follows with console versions. A Digital Extreme representative told Polygon. Thus, the PC and console build versions are out of sync by about a month or so. So it was about a month. Any migration attempt would require, putting the account through a kind of de-update converter to amend and sync. This can lead to a lot of issues, including potential loss of in-game items due to being from a later patch, data corruption, loss of player data, the inability to play until previous builds are reached, etc. In short, lots of headaches. So, yeah, they're doing it because it's kind of a pain in the ass to have to sync and desync accounts and whatnot.
I guess that could make a lot of sense. When I think about cross-platform in general, there's got to be a lot more work to make that happen.
Yeah.
If you're for the people at Rocket League, good on you for making that much work and making it happen.
Yeah, like it would work a lot better if, the versions were more in sync.
I guess maybe that'll be a trend now, is to get a game that really does work on everything and works well. Mm-hmm. Now, that would be a game that everyone could play, because then you don't have to worry about getting what console.
Sure. All right. So that aside, this next one is a little bit. This story came out on the 21st, so it's not that old. So H1Z1 had an esports league, and there were a lot of issues, mainly because H1Z1's dying.
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't even know they had a league existing anymore.
Yeah, they had a league, and nobody knew about it.
I mean, what sucks is that the people who keep reading the story.
Yeah. Basically, what happened was the league, it happened, and it got canceled like midway through the league. Basically, it was very abrupt.
The lack of payment, man.
Yeah, a big thing that was discussed about this was the fact that payment was stifled, or not stifled. Payment
stifled, right? That's
payment.
Word.
Yeah, it was stifled. People weren't getting paid, at least on time. There were apparently a lot of financial issues going on through this
because it's a dying game.
Yeah, it's a dying game.
You have
Nobody's
PUBG,
watching.
You have Fortnite. Right. Like those are the dominant battleground games.
Yes. But yeah, there was an update about this since the story came out. Basically, the person that was running it, his last name was Hall. I forgot what his first name was. But basically, here's what he said. The discontinuation of the league is not related to any payment. It is directly related to the decline of the game audience from the start of the league calendar year until now. It doesn't make sense to proceed with a league expression until the game and its user base actually grows to a substantial level to warrant a continued effort.
It might not ever happen.
Yeah. The matter of the stipend payment to teams is completely unrelated to the decision to not continue the league, which is why the league still intends to fully to fulfill its obligation there within the league calendar year as per the contract. So they say it's not because of the payment, but I mean, players not getting paid is still a major issue regarding
that's their blood and soul.
Yeah. So this is crazy. I mean, part of it is really funny because they were doing a league for a dead game, but like at the other side of it is like it really sucks that players aren't getting paid.
Right. Hopefully they're on different. Yeah. They're doing different games too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, most H1Z1 players have moved to PUBG and Fortnite and those other.
It just makes sense. It's the next step up. It's the evolution of the game.
I mean, PUBG is basically
it was just a mod
just
originally, right?
Game.
It's just a better game. It plays better, and then Fortnite's not bad, but I think I'm just more into the grittier side as opposed to the cartoon.
I don't care for the aesthetic of Fortnite, and then the building is really weird to me. I don't like the building. Arnold loves Fortnite,
and there's nothing wrong with that. The only issue I have with Battleground arena games like this was pointed out to me by a friend. He says, I've never played one, but I hate the idea that I could go 30 minutes without seeing anybody only to suddenly get shot after I have a bunch of nice weapons.
It's kind of shitty these games tend to drag out for a while, and you can go the entire game without running into a single person, and then you just get shot out of nowhere and you're fucked, and that's it.
I think the mobile version works really well though, because you have the 15-minute version, which you get 15 minutes.
Yeah, the mobile versions have more features that the PC version doesn't get, which is really interesting. But yeah, it makes for a better experience on mobile, sure.
Which is fine, and I'm surprised. Like when I first heard that it was even a thing, I thought, how the fuck are they doing that?
There's some good mobile games, PUBG, Fortnite
there it
mobile.
Is, right? There it is. We cracked the code, guys.
But yeah, that's the story there. It kind of sucks. But I mean, don't make a league for a game that nobody's playing. I guess they started it before. But it's been dying for a long time.
It really has.
So I just think this is really bizarre to me.
Like, oh, you know what I was thinking? Whatever happened to the Black Ops?
People play it.
Blackout, is it still a thing?
Yeah, people are playing Blackout. Blackout is literally the only mode that people are playing for that new game, for that Call of Duty.
Because that's what, otherwise I would just keep playing Call of Duty 4 on my computer.
Literally Blackout is the only mode. Nobody cares about any of the other modes anymore. So Call of Duty has become a battle royale game.
That's fine. At this point. Let me just buy the battle royale for like $30 and I'll buy it, but I don't think I'll buy it $60.
I don't want to pay for a full game for one mode that...
Right, because I'm not invested in the story. Maybe I'll play zombies once, but I want to play. I want to play the battleground.
Yeah. That's the real meat of it.
That's the meat.
And there's no point in the other modes if nobody's playing it.
Fair.
Yeah. Let's get on to the meat of our podcast, which isn't actually directly game related. It does have some gaming related stuff about it, but yeah, let's talk a little bit about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, since we had to work it. We had to deal with this stuff, and it's super stressful. It's the most stressful time of the year for retail workers.
Like, it definitely gets busy, and I don't mind that. My issue is I don't get to shop.
Yeah, we don't get to shop. Here's my issue with these things. 90% of it just ends up in returns anyway.
It really does.
From a retail perspective, we see this all the time after Black Friday or literally right after Christmas, where all these things end up wind up is Christmas presents.
But a lot of it's buyer remorse. That's how I got the DS.
Yeah, a huge part of it.
This guy bought like 4 of them and returned them all.
Yeah, and we literally talked to one of our coworkers about this, and someone shopped during Black Friday, came back, returned it, and they're like, okay, why do you want to return it? Oh, I just bought it because it was on sale.
Right.
And most people just buy it because it's on sale. Yeah, it's impulse.
Yeah, and then you return it and you're like,
buyer remorse. Why did I buy this in the first place? So I think personally, I think Black Friday, Cyber Monday, these types of things are really pointless because the point of it is to stimulate the economy. But the economy doesn't really get stimulated when everything just gets returned anyway.
For the most part. Plus, I'm always upset with their promotions. I think the best one was like the PlayStation. But I was looking at the Switch on the front page of the advertisement thinking it's not even on sale, but I'm guaranteed we're going to almost sell out. And we did. We had to get a second shipment.
Yeah. And what I also really hate, and this is for Black Friday specifically, is the fact that it forces retail employees to work on Thanksgiving.
You can thank Walmart specifically for that. They're the ones who did the first opened at 5 o'clock, and then everyone else had to follow suit to survive.
And working during the holiday is not optional.
They could have been at home spending time with their families, but they hit a buy.
No, it frustrates me because the incentive is time and a half, which is great. We get paid a lot of money to work during the holidays, but what if you don't want to work on the holidays? You're forced to because you are a retail worker. And if you don't, I mean, bye-bye, you get fired.
Yeah, that can be the case, yeah. You'd have to break your leg or something, and then even then you'd just be probably ringing people out.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's such it's a mindset that I don't particularly find good.
Yeah, I can agree.
I think it's very greedy. It's just corporate greed. It's corporate greed. That's the bottom line of it. It's
become more like that because originally it made sense, but when you start doing like early Black Friday sales, like Wednesday stuff, then you're going after money, and I get it. That's why you're doing it.
That's the other thing that's kind of funny to me is
like I have mixed feelings.
It's everybody is coming for Black Friday, but now you have all these early Black Friday things.
Come and get it now.
The deals are literally the same as the day of Black Friday. There are a couple of doorbusters, but most of those doorbusters aren't even really that great.
Right. A doorbuster was a Nintendo Switch for us, which was not on sale.
Yeah.
So, why? Getting that?
It's really ridiculous. And the other thing about Black Friday sales is most of the things that go on sale are the shitty products.
Yeah, like just bad TVs or like old games nobody really wants.
Yeah, so why? What's the point?
The gems, though, the few things I will say are gems are getting awesome consoles that they do release, like special bundles that only come out during that time.
Yeah,
that's the coolest thing.
Yes,
but if you already have the console, you're probably not going to buy it.
Exactly. It's unless you're like a hardcore collector and you're willing to spend like $400 on one.
I want to specifically call out like PlayStation. Man, they come out with so many versions: God of War, Monster Hunter, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption. Call of Duty one. They had so many bundles, and it was like the last 2 years.
So I have a bit more issue with Black Friday than I do Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday I don't have as much of an issue for, but that's because I don't work in an online warehouse.
Right, and even then, it's just a day where you'd be getting more orders.
Yeah, but I feel like Cyber Monday is less impulsive than Black Friday.
Definitely.
Because Cyber Monday, you have a bit more time, just to slowly browse through the stuff. Black Friday, because you are physically there, because everybody's running around and tackling each other and stuff, it's a lot more frantic and a lot more impulsive. And it feeds more on that impulsive instinct of people.
Like, I don't know how true this is, but I always feel that Cyber Monday is more for the nerds. Because when I talk to my brother,
those are more tech deals. Those are more tech deals.
He goes, I'm going to go on Nick. I'm going to buy like 2 SSD hard drives right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to get all these cool things for my computer. I'm going to build a new rig right now because it's on sale. And I think that's what I did on Cyber Mondays was buy parts for my computer.
Yeah, Cyber Monday is definitely a lot more geared towards nerds because it's a lot more tech deals.
Yes.
Definitely a lot more tech deals than Black Friday. Black Friday, people go all over the place for Black Friday, really.
I mean, you still have Cyber Monday at places like Kohl's, Sears, if that's still a thing.
I think Black Friday is more geared towards the average consumer. A lot of TV deals, things like that. People
because
just want a big
it's
TV.
It's an event. Like, people know about it, so they're going to attend the event.
Yeah, so, I mean, but I still have a lot of issue with Black Friday.
It's mostly Black Thursday.
Yes, Black Thursday.
That's the main one.
Forcing retail employees to work on a holiday really sucks. And is really, really greedy from those big companies. So that was pretty much all I wanted to say. That's pretty much the gist of the whole discussion. It wasn't really more of a discussion. It was more of a rant.
I'm glad you could get your feelings out.
Yeah, I wanted to rant mostly. And I wanted to talk about the fact that most of these deals, you'll get them throughout the whole week. You don't have to come during the most hectic day to get these deals. There's the doorbusters you're not even going to care about. half the time.
That's fair.
So, what's coming up on the channel? Nothing. We didn't record. Arnold and I have not recorded anything yet. We're going to record tomorrow, or Monday or today when this podcast comes out. Because
on Cyber Monday.
Yeah,
Start your
Cyber
shopping.
Monday. Our Cyber Monday deal is you get to listen to this podcast.
Oh, what a good deal. It's free.
But yeah, that's when Arnold and I are going to start recording. We didn't record today because Arnold's not feeling good. He's dying.
He's dead.
He's dead.
He'll come back to life.
He's dead. That was the joke. He was dead. Well, I spoiled the surprise.
And you're a magician. What the hell?
But yeah, Arnold's dying. So we're gonna record tomorrow when he hopefully feels better, or today when this podcast comes. Whatever the fuck. It's 10:47 now as of this recording.
As of 11/25, 2018.
Sure. Okay. All right. But yeah, that's the podcast. If you have any questions or topics for us to talk about, you can send them on over to heywereplayin@gmail.com. That's HeyWereplayin@gmail.com. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. YouTube.com/heywereplayin if you're listening to the audio.
We just released the S list a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yesterday.
The S list?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the series came
the
along.
series, yeah. The S list started Mother Simulator. That's right.
That's right.
A couple weeks ago, which is, I mean, what does
it's
S-list,
our new show, man.
Yeah, what does S list stand for? I mean, don't worry about it.
I mean, I don't even think about it.
But Mother Simulator was a good episode.
love that game.
I definitely recommend checking that out. But yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. YouTube.com/heywereplayin. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, whatever you like.
And drop us a review. That would help us out a lot. I would appreciate it.
And yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Whoa, I just made a cut shot. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.
Ciao.